I want to ask you a question. Who's coaching you? Who's asking you the tough questions? Who's telling you, man, you're the common denominator to all of your issues and challenges? Who's telling you, man, all day long you become the magnetic pulse that attracts to you both good and bad? I want to be your life coach. I want to be the one that cheers you on to the finish line. I want to be the one that you ask the tough questions. And it doesn't mean that I have all the answers, but that means that you have a partner, someone who believes in you, not the you see right now, but the you can't imagine, the you that you are to become, the you were destined to be. I always say we both need the positive and the negative. It's not enough to have the knowledge of the matter, but we must have the wisdom as well. For wisdom settles it. And that's what I want to offer you as you join me on the Coach's Corner. I want to offer you the wisdom of the matter. Maybe it might be relationships, talking about our campaigns for more, for life, the dark room of our subconscious, our spiritual journey. Whatever it is, I want to be there to encourage you, to build you, to challenge you, to cheer you on to the finish line. I'm qualified to do this. Why? Because I'm you.
Thank you so very much for joining us for another edition of the Coach's Corner. And my name is Marcus Sillett. Assuredly, I bring to the table the personal and professional issues that I myself have faced from my past. But I also bring and bear the scars of the journey of my life, from whence I have gained and grabbed onto wisdoms. And I trust that through these wisdoms and understandings, I can earn the right to speak into your life. And I want to say to you, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, stopping by. To all of those of you that are listening on Spreaker, iBroadcast TV, Ustream, YouTube, Facebook fan pages, listening to the Block Radio on SIBN Radio, by SelectUSATV.com. Those that are listening via Spreaker, thank you so very much. We appreciate you spreading the word. Thank you for listening on Twitter, tapping in on Twitter worldwide. Thank you so very much for your support. We surely appreciate you. Don't forget the websites www.sibntelevision.com and www.sibnradio-by SelectUSATV.com. This is the Coach's Corner. Alrighty, we installed some new equipment, so hopefully we're not having any big problems on your end, that everything is according to as we have intended. We're talking about recovering from destructive behavior. Today, the thought that crossed my mind as I was preparing myself just meditatively is that many of the times that we are recovering from destructive behavior, it bears mentioning that it's not always your destructive behavior. I was talking to my COO yesterday in Studio A, and we were discussing this. And so today I want to share with you on this number 2 session is that the recovery that you may be in the midst of transitioning through may have nothing to do with your own destructive behavior, for we are all, I believe, connected somehow. As much as we try to alienate the other from the one, we are still connected. And when you think about our connection, you can't help but to think about what we share in that connection, whether it be positive or whether it be negative. And so I believe that you may be recovering from something that someone has decided to do, but it has affected you. It has affected you. This too is included in my series, Recovering from Destructive Behaviors. recovering from destructive behaviors that take us away from the path of destiny and away from the path of intention, away from the path of divine guidance. And oftentimes through the actions of others, we ourselves are tested. We ourselves are tested by the decision base and the actions of others. And we're thinking, at least momentarily, we're thinking that this is a crisis about them. This is a crisis about him. This is a crisis about her. But in all reality, it turns out to be a test for me, though I did not see it coming. If you're living life on default mode, you're not going to get in any of this. You're just going through the motions or whatever. But if you're living life with any kind of intention, moving past pretension, moving past hype, or moving past the hypothetical, moving past the hypocritical, then you want to give some thought to, okay, yeah, I do remember that when he decided to do X, Y, and Z, when she decided to do X, Y, and Z. But but the common denominator is that somehow or another I was involved. And then, of course, there is, for those that are listening, random destructive behaviors that still affect us all. Random. Mother's Against Drunk Driving is proof of that. Random destructive behavior. Maybe a cousin did something, or a neighbor did something, or a worker at your place of employment, or your partner in your business did something that was destructive. And the point of the matter is that just got to recover, because you're going to answer every tragedy and you're going to answer every issue with some kind of response, emotionally, psychologically, even financially. You're going to spend more money or less money. You're going to think more of or less of. These are the types of things that we are talking about, not just your destructive behavior or response to a tragedy or a catastrophe, but also the destructive behaviors of others who refuse to adhere to a code of ethics or a code of values. And you are caught in the crossfires of their decision base. Hence, your response to that random act of destructional behavior, that random act of behavior outburst, has now affected, it seems, your entire life, and your response has not been savvy, and your will to live, or your will to go on, or your will to forgive, or your will to let go has been challenged at best. Destructive behaviors are also the momentous lack of cooperation, the momentous lack of cohesiveness, if you will. Refusal to do things differently. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, after a while becomes somewhat destructive, because you begin to eat away at the core of what was good, but now becomes absent from the covenant, from the cooperative conversation. Recovering from destructive behavior is not just us personally, but what has happened in and around us. What has happened in and around us. Our response. Can you imagine the resolve of a mother whose child is killed by a drunk driver? Can you imagine? The challenge of a family who has to bury a brother or sister or son or daughter of a hit and run, car accident, homicide. Can you imagine being the parent or the husband or the wife of an accused rapist or killer who is truly innocent? Can you imagine being denied insurance for an autistic hearing problem? An autistic child with a hearing challenge. And I can go on and on and on, but to find the resolve, let me just say this. I'm with you. I so want to move forward. If I knew how to fall backwards completely without having to think about it, I probably would. If I knew how to lay down my arms, as it were, and give up this battle, I'm going to be honest, completely honest with you, I probably would, but it's just not in me. I don't know what fabric of a man I have become, but I just can't quit. And I have been dogged on the left and on the right, from top and from the bottom. I've been dogged by the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and I just keep coming up. Sometimes I wonder, what fabric of a man am I to fight like this? This fight should have been stopped by the referee, for the love of goodness. And then I realize I'm recovering from destructive behaviors. Not, like as I said today, today's thought is not just yours. That's my chief operating officer gave me a very good thought to think about. Not that I wouldn't have came up with it, because we would have eventually gotten there in our thought processes. But the point of the matter is, this is a good thought for you to understand that when we say recovering from destructive behaviors, we're not talking about just your decision base. That what other people do affects the outcome. It seems gravely so. It affects the outcome, gravely so, of your life. I've said that in the past as well, that when we decide to go and have sex with someone outside of covenant, outside of marriage, or just in general, when we don't use protection, and you have children, it alters the entire life. It alters the entire life of a family. And I really want to say that what a lot of people are not realizing, who are so quote unquote church bound, who are so spiritual, that this is another control mechanism in our churches and in our homes, where these young kids and young adults are having all these kids, and they're altering the entire scope of the next generation. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that. Talk about recovering from destructive behavior. Look at our culture. You can just have kid after kid after kid, and they'll just have baby shower after baby shower after baby shower. Like it's just some kind of big. I'm about ready to go off. And, you know, I'm trying to keep my mouth clean on my shows. But who the hell gave you the right to alter other people's life because you can't handle you? And that's all of us. Who gives me? That's all of us. We all, you know. This series is so important to me. It's so important to me because we are all affected by what the other person does. And I'm not sure, hence why I started the series, that we are handling it well. Trust me, if I knew how to drink, really, I would have been drunk regarding this series by now. Can we just be honest? If I knew how, knew how to really drink, But then I know the fabric of the man I am just tells me it wouldn't help me at all. Because it's very painful to think about these things. It's very painful to know that we are interconnected and don't even understand. For instance, if you are Caucasian and you are particularly, this is rarely found. This is rarely found when I say this, okay? If you are Caucasian and you are hating on another race, right? you don't know how you are cutting your own throat, because we are still all connected, no matter what the history books say, no matter what we prefer or don't prefer to mix the races, things of that nature. But we are all still connected. We can go again to another classist mentality. For those that live in affluent, gated, guarded neighborhoods, and crime happens in those neighborhoods, on the news, you hear these words: "This doesn't happen in our neighborhood." The audacity of deflection, This doesn't happen in our neighborhood. But we are still all, the guy that's having problems with his job that you don't even know, that lives at 413 Scooby Avenue, and goes to his place of employment and shoots the hell up everybody. And it's on the news. And it's all over the place and everybody's talking about it. My tax dollars is paying for his trial, for the love of goodness. My tax dollars are paying for his incarceration. I don't care what you say. That girl, if I'm talking to some folks from the hood, that you calling bitch and hoe, just casually now. That's a casual word now. It's a casual thing to call a girl bitch and hoe now. I mean, it's you're just beyond me. What? How's that going to work for us in 2 decades? What is the next generation going to look like? And I can go on and on and on about these names that we call one another now in culture, the kids and the young adults or whatever. And I get it. I get the flow, get the flow of everything, what's up, you just get into the flow of it, But I'm just telling you, it's too easy to degrade somebody now just for the hell of it, for the fun of it. And this affects us. We're recovering. We're going to be in recovery for the next 2,000 or 3,000 years, I suppose, if we last that long. We're going to be in recovery from a lot of stuff, but particularly as it regards to you and I, we have to come to grips with the fact that we are still connected. Though I may not know the details, I may not have fellowshipped with that business merchant or that stock trader or that investor. I may not run in the circles of, but we are all connected. That's what the internet should have taught us by now. And the question of the day is, how do we recover, good God from Zion, from behavior performed by others that we do not know, that has gave more than a hint of destructive measures and have impacted us negatively right here at home? 9/11 that's such a question for 9/11. Over 3,000 people that were murdered while they were at work or while they were on a trip or while they were serving these United States of America. That happens at schools while the children are learning. It even happens in Washington while the politicians are arguing and debating the debate that they just debated. We are all connected. We don't like that. I'm not saying we're to like it. I'm not saying we're going to accept it. We don't have to accept it. We don't have to like it. It's still true. That's why some people want to succeed from the union. They don't want to be connected to all this mess. But you got your own mess to be connected to. If you start to form your own community separate from the United States of America, and you do your own thing with your own race, with your own peeps, as the kids would say, you're going to have your own issues. And everybody in your group is going to be affected. And if we keep hearing about your group and your peeps and your this and your that, then your group, should you step outside the realm of the law, will still affect the rest of the United States, even though you claim that you've succeeded from the union. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you run. Those companies that are putting multiple billions of dollars overseas to hide from taxation of the United States of America. Profit is one thing, capitalism is one thing, but greed is another. At what point do you cross over? And it begins to affect a culture, a multi-communal, multi-generational impact from my sense of greed from the boardroom. I'm just saying. Recovering from destructive behavior, you think about the people who've lost their life savings because they trusted someone who was slick to the bone regarding their investment, regarding their savings. Slicker than slick, you hear me? Slicker than oil. When you give up 75, 150, 295, 300,000, $250,000, $500,000, $2.7 million to somebody, and they waste your money, and that is all that you have when you put up your mortgage deed to invest in a lie, and that's all you have. You've worked 40 years, 30 years. You just retired 10 years ago, and this was your nest egg? How in the world do you recover from that? And I've told you my formula. I can't be trusted with a day. I can't be trusted with a day. I have to take a moment at a time, because I might fall down and not want to get up. But the fabric of the man that I have become pushes me beyond my own imagination. The fabric of the man that I have been challenged to be kicks me beyond my comfort zone and reminds me that I still have a conscience that I must hear when all else is silent. But how do you recover from some of these catastrophes? You take it one moment at a time. You maintain your will to live. You hold on to what the intention of your life really was all about. But still, this is what I was talking about last session. We adopt pacifiers, or we fall back to default mode, as my chief operating officer always says. We fall back to default mode and say, what the hell, I put all this energy and time into this, it's not worth it. We fall back on default mode. Just live life. Let it happen. Throw up my hands and throw in the towel and go through the motions and just stick to the regiment. Don't ruffle the feathers. And don't rock the boat. Yeah. And how's that working for you? We're connected. We don't like it. A man is in a marriage and he's having problems in his marriage, and he changes wives. And he found out that when he changed wives, he was blissful for a moment. She was younger, stronger. Skin was purified, if you will. Hair was longer. Nails were whiter. Smile was brighter. Only to find out that it's got baby mama drama now. I mean, you can't escape. just can't get away. What the heck? You just can't escape. Okay, I got me a new girl, and yeah, man, as long as she ain't in my house, I'm cool, dude. Dude, it only take but so many baby mama drama situations before it's in your house. And the new wife is looking at you like, what the heck is this? It's just no escape. If you were to ask me, well, Marcus, what is the resolution? Man, I could give you a resolution, but that doesn't mean the inauguration thereof is easy. The resolution is that we are our brother's keeper, and that if you know, I hate to go back to the old church words, but if you know the words of prayer, pray for me. If you know the words of prayer, pray for your neighbor, pray for the nation, pray for the city, pray for the state, the country, because you don't know how you are going to be impacted next by someone's insecurity, someone's lack of sensitivity. You don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. You just don't know what's going to happen. If you're drinking over this, then what would happen if this happens? And if you're arguing over that, then what will happen if this happens? And if you're mad over this, then what will happen if this happens? Yeah. These are the things that you have to consider. These are the things that you have to consider. We're all recovering here. Your child goes off, and you did not train your child to be that way. And you're scratching your head trying to figure out, what in the world were you thinking? How could you go off and do such a thing? Embarrass the family and cause family shame, and on and on and on. And God forbid if there's any legal proceedings involved. My goodness gracious, the humiliation. So you drink in secret, and you smoke, and you party like it's always 1999. You open your legs and you don't use protection, and you have abortions every time you find out you're pregnant, and others of you just keep having babies. I mean, what is your response in the attempt to recover from the destructive behavior? Your father left. Your mother was on drugs. Your auntie committed suicide. Your father is in jail. What is your response to all of this? What is your response to what is more than unfair headed your way? What is your response? I'm going to say, like the scripture said, as for me and mine, my response is, except the Lord build this house, except the Lord keep this city, my building and my watching is in vain. What is your response? What is your response to the unbelievable antics of life that you will experience? What is your response? What is your response? It is a question that we wrestle with like a wet whale. You can't quite put your arms around it. I'm in recovery here because when I think about my response, it has not always been good. When you compound a problem with a compound problem, you got a compounded mess. This is Coach's Corner, man. Thank you so much for listening. Whatever you do, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Don't forget to like the fan page, Coach's Corner, on SIBN Radio. This is Coach. Till next time.